Nikhil Galia. Please, you can begin your presentation based on Yaki Guide IDA approach for automatic classification of construction safety reports. You wait a little bit, or? Okay. Can you be sure, please, about the second one, third one, to be sure that they are there? Paper number 14, Yaki Guided LDA Approach for Automatic Classification of Construction Safety Reports. He's not here. Here, he's here. Okay. So if the next paper 41, Xiaorui, Yiru, and Zhang, paper
yes.
41.
Yes,
are you
I'm
ready?
Here. 41.
Great. Thank you. Sorry to perturb you. And we can begin your conference, please.
Okay.
Thank you so much for your presence.
So, hello everyone. My name is Xiaorui Xue, and I'm presenting on my behalf of my classmate Yiru and my major advisor, Professor Jiansong Zhang, and as part of the Auto IC Lab. And the title of this presentation is Automated Construction Contract Summarization using Natural Language Processing and Deep Learning. And I just want to give some background on this research. So construction contract is a critical type of documents. It details every perspective of a construction project, especially in the management part. It will specify what is the payment method, what is the cost of the project, what is schedule of the project, and some important deadline. And therefore, the construction contract is intended to be long to keep every possible detail. However, the length of construction contract place a burden on human readers. In order to alleviate the burden on human readers, we will need to reduce the length of construction contract while preserve the main information elements, so readers can read a shorter version of a construction contractors will get all the information they needed. Therefore, I propose that the summarization of construction contract by deep learning is a promising solution to the problem. First, a lot of deep learning have proven performance on text summarization in other domains, like they reported very high performance on some open domain data, some open data set. However, because none of those summarized deep learning models were evaluated on construction contracts, so therefore they still need to be evaluated on this domain-specific construction, domain-specific task. And there's some background of the research. The first one is natural language processing. So natural language processing is a technique that use information to extract information from building codes to like the applications of natural language processing in the ACE domains, including like infiltration of information from building codes to support automated code compliance checking by Professor Jiansong Zhang and Professor Xiaorui. And there are also other research by Professor Zhang, which is called the entity alignments and mapping in transportation terminologies. And this is some more introduction about the text summarized text. So text summarization is basically reducing the length of body of text, like an article or paragraph, by preserving the main elements of the text, so some key critical information should not be lost while the length of text is reduced. However, some literature suggests that one of the main challenges in the construction domain is basically about there is just a limited amount of available data, which means unlike some open domain text that the training data set is very big, we will only be able to work on very limited data set. And our transformer model is basically a language, deep learning language models is pre-trained on some text like predicting the next word given all the previous of the sentence, or predict the masked word in a sentence. They report state of that art performance in many NLP texts in recent years, and I select you to select the following three transformer models in my research, which is called BERT, Pegasus, and Distill BART. And the one of the challenge in this, so it's first the automated evaluation in text summarizations does not meet the demands. So automated evaluation methods are generally compare the result of according to some gold standard and calculate the n-gram similarity to text strings. They basically based on the idea that the higher the n-gram similarity of two text strings of the summarization of the machine models to the gold standard, the better the machine learning model is. However, because even a slight variation in the order or the sequence of sentence can change the meaning of the sentence a lot. Therefore, they are known to give high score to results that make little sense or no sense at all. Like if a order of some words in a sentence swaps, they may make the sentence completely ineligible to humans. And I also want to study the impact of pre-processing, like tokenization, lower casing, removal of stop words, and punctuation and Scott and lemonizations to the performance of deep learning models in the task of text summarization. And therefore, I propose a merit-based text summarization evaluation method that will evaluate the performance of deep learning models from as well as correctness. Basically, the deep learning model need to keep all the information that's needed, human readability. So the summarization of the deep learning models need to be able to read smoothly by humans. And last but not least, the completeness. Basically, all the information that's important has to be preserved in the summarizations. And this is the three steps of the merit-based text summarization evaluation measure. The first, collect a data set of construction contract. We basically collect some open and freely available construction contracts online, so it's reduce the duration and the cost of the research. And then I can collect the summarizations result of the selected model. So because given the limited on training data, I'm not able to pre-train even finding a data set, finding a deep learning model. So I have to evaluate the performance of existing models. And last but not least is the manual evaluation by domain experts. And this is the three models that I selected. They are all open source transformer models that is being published online, and the evaluation was done by the authors of this paper. So for the BART models, for different transformer models, they have different configurations. For example, the BART has a BART large CNN models. So the large means it has more headers and more encoders and decoders in the base models, and CNN means it is pre-trained on a data set of text summarization for CNN news. And Pegasus is XSUM means XSUM is also a data set, means the model is pre-trained on the XSUM data set. And the distilled BART is a distilled version of BART, which model distillation is basically training a large model with a smaller model. We are making the output layer and other layers of the smaller model to mimic the behavior of the larger models. And the CNN also means the model is pre-trained on the CNN dataset, and the 12 means the number of encoders and decoders. There are 6 levels encoders and 6 level decoders, and the 6 means the number of heights in the transformer models. And this is the performance of the model. So this model is rated from a scale of 0 to 1. So not all models perform really well. However, the distilled is still outperform other two models. The package use receive a relatively lower score because it keeps generating results that does not make sense. That also they got a lot of zeros. And this is a comparison for the models without processing. You can see this is a little bit higher than pre-processing. Therefore, I suggest that the pre-processing will be detrimental to the performance of language models because it will remove some key information that will be utilized by the deep learning models. And here is some summarizations of the models with and without pre-processing. So this column is the original text. This one is the summarized of by each models with pre-processing, and this one is the model without pre-processing. The Pegasus will keep generating results like this. So I have to give him a 0 in this case. And this is a conclusion that first this research proposed a new merit-based evaluation method for text summarization and the evaluation from three perspectives: the information completeness, information correctness, and human readability. And three popular deep learning performance was evaluated. And I also suggest that the better perform with a pre-processing. So pre-processing is no longer necessary as part of the NLP pipeline of the summarization text construction contracts. And here are all the reference I use in this research. And here I want to just open the floor for questions.
Thank you so much. Any question from the audience, please? Any? I have one question. Please, why you choose only 3 models to evaluate?
First,
more than 3.
First, those 3 models is very carefully picked. Like the BART model is to use to evaluate the performance of BERT variant BERT. The Pegasus is a different kind of language model that's being pre-trained a different kind of text. So I want to evaluate the impact of training text to the performance of the models. And the distilled part is a distillation. Of course, I also want to evaluate the performance of model distillations. Although there are basically new deep learning models are being published almost on a daily basis. So, but there are just still some more simple and more older models because they have a really robust performance on a wide range of data sets. So I just select some, maybe a more basic one. And this is also a trend in the open source domain, like all deep learning domains, like they will just try to score even like 1% or even 0.1% of higher performance by making their model much larger. So some models nowadays even cannot be easily run in a reasonable computers. You will need some deep learning workstation to run. So it's also being constrained by the hardware of that is available to me. That's it.
Okay. A second question, please. Is there any application in construction industry?
Yes. So this will be potential applications will be probably first if a person want to read a construction contract but he doesn't have enough time, so maybe we can give them a summary, and because the summary is generated independently by some algorithm, and algorithm is also being tested on the test to be neutral, so he doesn't need to worry about that somebody just try to intentionally keep some information away from him. Other possible effect is by some possible application by some virtual assistant. Like if you are coming from a very big construction, you have a lot of construction need to be go through, so summarization can definitely save some time.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for your presentation.